Welcome to episode number 336. It's a Q&A episode, and I'm answering questions on how to boost your energy, how to manage overeating, and how to live in tune with the circadian rhythms, and how to build up resilience to stress. So please stay tuned. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. This episode is sponsored by Kerala Ayurveda. Do you wish to learn holistic lifestyle habits to maintain your well-being and create positive shifts in your life? Kerala Ayurveda Academy welcomes you to upgrade your lifestyle, align with nature, and inspire others to do the same. Courses are available for beginners as well as advanced learners and professionals, both online and in person in the beautiful Bay Area, California. Beginner certifications began April 9th, but it's not too late to join. And for $100 off tuition for the spring trainings, use the code ELEMENTS when you apply or register. To learn more, visit keralaayurveda.us/courses, and I'll put all that info in the show notes. Hey there, it's Colette, and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. Today, I'm doing a solo episode, and I'm answering questions from you, the listeners. And I'm going to get straight into it. We have some great questions, including this first one from Lydia, who says, I feel like my energy has been low the past few weeks, and I made an effort to get to bed earlier. However, I still feel so tired throughout my day. How do I boost my energy? Thanks for this question, Lydia. And it's a great one, particularly at this time of the year when we're going through the change of seasons, which can really affect our energy levels. Now, of course, there can be many reasons for your depleted energy, and I would love to talk to you to get more detail. But due to the timing of this feeling with the change of seasons, this could be playing a major factor in your low energy levels and lethargy. The shift in weather patterns can take several weeks between the seasons, and this dance of weather going back and forth between the seasons can play havoc with our digestive system. And as a result, our digestive system may be compromised. When our digestive system is not working efficiently, this can result in undigested food. And this undigested food in Ayurveda is called ama, or toxins. If this ama is not eliminated, it can accumulate and move throughout the channels of the body, resulting in illness. And I talk about the manifestation of disease in detail in episode number 64. It's some great information from Ayurveda about the 6 stages of disease. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend it. But today I want to talk about what are the signs that you may have if there's an accumulation of ama or toxins in the body. You may be feeling run down, sluggish, lethargic, and a general lack of energy. You may be feeling weak digestion, maybe feeling bloated or heaviness after meals. You may have irregular bowel movements. They may be sticky or even loose or dry. You may be feeling mentally foggy with an inability to concentrate. You may notice that there's a coating on your tongue that's maybe a little bit more thicker than normal. And again, that's a sign of a digestive system that's not functioning optimally. And just a general feeling of being out of balance, just feeling out of sorts. And even though the weather is changing, we may still be eating the foods of the previous season and not yet shifted to the pacifying foods of the new season. As we know, Mother Nature gives us the foods in each season to help pacify the dominant dosha in the environment during that time. For example, Mother Nature gives us bitter leafy greens to cleanse the body in spring, cooling fruits and vegetables in the hot summer months, and grounding root vegetables in autumn and winter. Now, Lydia, I don't know where you're located, and so I'm going to give examples here for both the southern and the northern hemispheres. In the Northern Hemisphere, if you're still eating the heavier foods of winter as we now move into spring, these foods with the heavy, unctuous gunas or qualities can increase the kapha dosha. And with the kapha energy naturally rising in the environment during the wet and cool weather of spring, all this increase can result in a kapha aggravation and bring a feeling of heaviness and sluggishness in the body and mind. And if we ignore these symptoms in the body and mind and continue to eat the aggravating foods, it may cause sluggishness in the digestion and in the energy and weaken our immune system, which could also develop into allergies as we enter into the high pollen season in spring. And then if we look at the Southern Hemisphere, if you're still eating the foods from the hot season, like salads or raw or cold foods and cold drinks, these items will increase the vata dosha. And the vata dosha is going to naturally rise in the environment during autumn as the weather is cooler and drier. Therefore, along with the rise of vata in the environment and eating a vata increasing diet, this could lead to a vata aggravation. Another factor here is the accumulation of the pitta dosha in the body at the end of the hot season. And if this accumulation of heat in the body is not eliminated, it can result in a pitta aggravation. And it will also aggravate the vata dosha further, as that heat can increase dryness in the body and the energy will be less, resulting in spurts of energy and then hitting a wall as your energy crashes. During the change of seasons, we need to help our body as it goes through the state of confusion with fluctuating weather conditions. Therefore, at this time, it's best to simplify our diet so that our digestive system doesn't have to work so hard and doesn't have to use a lot of energy in the process. Ayurveda recommends seasonal cleansing during the transition of the seasons to help eliminate any accumulation of that ama or toxins, or any accumulation of doshas, and to help reset your digestive system, preventing any seasonal imbalances and boosting your energy and immunity. Now, quickly, I want to mention, I do have a group cleanse starting very soon, April 19th. And even if you hear this in the first week of the cleanse, you can still join because the first week is just a preparation. So reach out. And this cleanse comes with a 90-minute consultation with me. And as you can see from what I've previously been speaking about, the cleanse needs to be tailored depending on your unique constitution, depending on your current vikriti or imbalance, and depending on your climate and what season you're going into. And we have people joining this cleanse from all around the world. So it's really important for me to speak with each person, and I tailor the cleanse to you and your lifestyle and obviously your current health status. And then there's a private community forum where we can communicate and support each other and hold each other accountable. Now, if you've missed this cleanse, there is always the option of doing a private cleanse. It's the same structure. You just have me one-on-one for support. So you can check out the link in the show notes or visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. For the group discounted cleanse, starting April 19th, it goes to the events page. And for the private cleanse, go to the programs page. So I hope you can join us. This cleanse will provide a complete digestive reset and help you heal your gut and help you transition through the seasons. And when we heal our gut, it heals all the other ailments as a result. So that's all the cleanse info if you're interested in that support. But for now, I want to give you some general tips that will help boost your energy, Lydia, and help you transition through the season. First of all, eating warm, easy to digest food is really important. Again, we want to help the digestive system and make sure that we're giving it very simple foods and the foods are warm. So the body doesn't have to use a lot of energy to cook the foods and digest it. And we want to choose foods that are in season and pacifying for your constitution. You want to eat your main meal in the middle of the day when your digestive fire is strongest, keeping your evening meal light, for example, a soup. Avoid overeating and only eat when you feel hungry. Sipping on hot water or herbal teas throughout the day to keep your digestive fire strong is a great idea. And if you don't feel hungry before a meal, have a ginger tea to help stimulate your appetite. Using warming spices in your meals if you feel that your digestion is sluggish. And that could be things like ginger and cumin and black pepper and fennel and cinnamon. Avoid heavy comfort foods and dairy because it's really hard to digest and can create mucus and congestion. Eat more fiber with lots of cooked seasonal vegetables to provide roughage to aid with elimination. And you want to move your body daily. By moving your body, you're going to increase circulation. You're going to boost your energy. And with the increase in the circulation, you're going to move your lymph as well and preventing any stagnation in the lymph system, the lymph being your immune system, which does not have a pump of its own. So it needs to be pumped by the circulatory system. So when we move daily, our muscles are contracting and moving the blood and the lymph throughout the body. So that's a great way to get your energy and your immunity boosted. And you could start with like a brisk walk in nature, which will have many other benefits for your well-being, the fact that you're in nature. You mentioned, Lydia, that you're trying to get more sleep, and that's great. However, again, in Ayurveda, there's no one size fits all. For some people, you have to be careful not to get too much sleep. Now, ideally, we're going to bed around 10 p.m. before the Pitta energy rises and gives us the illusion of the second wind, which I've talked about in the Circadian rhythm episode, number 8. If you're not aware of that, check that out, episode number 8. And while the sleep times are different for each individual, Ayurveda provides guidelines for the doshas. And I've done many podcast episodes on sleep, but in general, Kapha has to be careful not to oversleep, and especially sleeping into the Kapha time of day from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., because this can create more heaviness and a sluggish feeling in the body and mind. Therefore, for the Kapha dosha, it's important to get up early between 5:30 and 6 a.m. and exercise early in the morning to stimulate that heavy Kapha energy and to combat that rise in Kapha in the environment. Now, for the Pitta dosha, it's usually easy to get up early, and doing so around 6 is good. In fact, Pitta may sacrifice sleep for work, and so it's important for Pitta to focus on getting sufficient sleep. And then finally, for the Vata dosha, sleeping into the Kapha time until about 6:30, 7 a.m. can be beneficial to help you take on some of that grounding energy of Kapha. But I wouldn't sleep in much later. Around 6:37 is a good time for Vata to rise. Of course, I would tailor this information to each individual in a consultation, as you have to take into consideration lifestyle, right? Kids, shift work, if you're having sleep issues, etc. Also, in a consultation, I would look at the possible leaks of your energy, either physically, emotionally, mentally, and taking a holistic look at your life, Lydia, and seeing what's the root issue. And of course, there may be more than one. So there you go, Lydia. Thanks for a great question. And if you're ready for a big reset that will just resolve lots of issues in one fell swoop, then I recommend the Digestive Reset Cleanse. Okay, moving on to the next questions from Pamela. I know that living in tune with the circadian rhythms is important in Ayurveda, and I have been intentionally doing that for several months now, but my bowel movements are still happening later in the day. Is this a problem? Also, I have excess weight and I feel is due to overeating. Can you give me some advice on how to stop overeating, please? Great. Well, first of all, well done, Pamela, on focusing on living in tune with the circadian rhythms. That's fantastic. And I'm sure you're noticing shifts in your well-being as a result of that. And these questions are great. I'm going to start first in regards to the timing of your bowel movements. I would say, please don't worry about the exact timing, as the important thing here is that you're actually having a bowel movement every day and that the bowel movement is well formed, easy to eliminate, and you feel like you're eliminating fully. Those should be your main concerns. Of course, it's great to have a bowel movement at the start of the day before we leave the house and go to work, etc., but it shouldn't be a cause of stress if it's later in the day. As I mentioned in my previous answer to Lydia's question, an accumulation of ama or toxins can result in sluggish bowel movements, meaning that they may happen later in the day. And here are some general tips I could give you to help with your elimination if you feel it's sluggish and not so easy to eliminate. And there are three main things to focus on: hydration, lubrication, and fiber. Fiber is very important, one especially with so much ultra processed foods today lacking in fiber. So we don't have that roughage to move the waste out of the body. So if you find your bowel movements are sluggish, I would say increase your fiber with lots of cooked vegetables and increase your liquids and your good fats. The good fats are going to provide lubrication along with the liquids, as the fiber can't do the work of moving the waste out of the body without moisture and lubrication. So the fiber, lubrication, and hydration here, Pamela, and maybe check if there's any buildup of toxins. That could be another factor playing into that sluggish bowel movement or delayed bowel movement. And in regards to the second part of your question on overeating, from someone who used to overeat for many years, and I was overweight as a result, I have some tips to share with you. And the first one is to slow down your eating. Practice mindful eating. Avoid standing, scrolling, working, or multitasking while eating. Distracted eating really affects our digestion, but also we don't even have the awareness of what we ate. So before you start eating, I want you to take 3 deep belly breaths so that you can become present and in the moment and put away all distractions. And just for the 10, 15 minutes you're eating, just focus on your food. Ayurveda recommends eating what we can fit in our 2 hands cupped together for 1 portion of food. So that's 2 cupped handfuls of food per meal. And I feel that putting your food in a bowl or a smaller plate helps you not to feel so deprived, especially if you're used to eating larger portions. And you don't want to fill your stomach completely, as you need to allow space for your food to churn in order to digest. You shouldn't feel heavy, bloated, or like you have to loosen your belt at the end of a meal. And ideally, you're avoiding a second portion. However, if you really do want a second portion, then I recommend that you wait at least 20 to 30 minutes after your first portion, so you can allow your body time to start digesting, which is when you'll get that sensation of being full. So in that 20, 30 minutes, maybe you could sip on some hot water or herbal tea and then wait and see if you really need that second portion. Also, only eat when you feel hungry. And if you're not sure if it's hunger or thirst, because thirst is our weakest sense and can be confused for hunger sometimes, or perhaps it's emotions leading to emotional eating, then take some time to hydrate to make sure it's not thirst and check in with your body, slowing your breath down and be aware of your emotional state before eating. For many of us, we'll eat when we feel emotional. So I want you to be aware of that as well. You also need to make sure that your meals are well balanced so that you feel satiated after a meal. And this advice needs to be tailored to each individual. But in general, you want to have protein and good fats in your meal to help keep you fuller longer. And as I said, portion size was a big issue for me throughout my life. And I learned the proper portion size and how much food my body actually needs through the regular Ayurveda cleansing. And now I find myself satisfied with the 1 portion, which for me is a bowl full of food and with no cravings afterwards. And this, honestly, the shift still amazes me, as there was such an issue throughout my life of overeating. But now I find that I can maintain a healthy body weight as a result. So there you go, Pamela. I hope that advice was helpful for you. And thanks again for a great question. Okay, last question here is Shirley. Shirley says, I find that stress is really affecting my health and I'm trying to reduce stress in my life. However, I can't protect myself from outside stress. How do we build up our resilience to stress? Thanks, Shirley, for this great question. And stress is certainly a big health concern these days for all of us. Building up resilience to stress is very important so that our body and mind doesn't react dramatically to daily stressors in the world. And here are some tips to help you build up resilience to stress. First of all, mindfulness practices are the best way to calm the nervous system. And with these practices, you're letting the body and mind know that you're not in danger, and therefore your body doesn't need to activate the sympathetic nervous system or the fight-flight response. With a regular mindfulness practice, we are training ourselves to utilize these simple and effective practices when we're in stressful situations. But like anything, we have to practice it. Once stress is triggered, we want to train ourselves to automatically focus on calming our breath. Because oftentimes when we're stressed, we can hold our breath or breathe very shallow with stress. Breath practices are extremely effective to help you build up resilience to stress. And I would encourage practicing your breathing techniques daily so that it's on autopilot when you need it during a stressful time. This pranayama, or energy controlled, could be a very simple practice of just paying attention to your breath. And when you inhale, feeling your abdomen expand and your chest rise so that you're using the full capacity of your lungs. And then when you exhale, feel your chest fall and your abdomen contract. You could practice this while driving, which is an activity in itself which can create a lot of stress for many people, or make it a habit that at every red light, you focus on your breath. Other mindfulness practices like meditation and yoga are also very beneficial for building up a resilience to stress. But I think a breathing practice is the easiest way for most people. So I highly recommend a daily time where you just practice on deep belly breathing, say a 5-count inhale, a pause, and then a 5-count exhale. And that can be a great tool. Really simple, really effective in times of stress. You could also build up a buffer to stress with exercise. A small amount of stress is beneficial for our body and mind. And through exercise, you can train the body to feel the effort or stress and then use the breath to calm the body down. So now the body learns that not every stressful event results in the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. So for example, a workout that I like to do is an interval workout, also known as a HIIT workout. And in this workout, you stress your body for an interval of time and take your body to the point where you can't breathe out of your nose comfortably. Now, the length of time will vary per person. And then once you find that you can no longer breathe out of your nose and you have to breathe through your mouth, then the interval is over and you stop and then you focus on your breath, inhaling and exhaling through your nose with that deep belly breathing technique I just described, which helps to calm down the body again. So you could do, for example, 1 minute of jumping jacks or burpees, or if you're starting out with an exercise program, maybe that's just a brisk walk for a few minutes until you get your heart rate up to the point where you can no longer breathe through your nose. Then you stop. You focus on your deep belly breathing. And when you're recovered, then you can do another interval. Now you could combine this interval workout with a strength training program where you move from an interval to focusing on a body part or abdominals and then return to the interval again. So some stress, a small amount of stress for the body is good. Again, it builds up resilience. And in this way of exercising or training the body, yeah, I'm going to stress you, but then I'm going to calm you down. So don't worry. And the body learns like, oh yeah, I've experienced this stress before. I know now it's not going to last forever. I don't need to activate the sympathetic nervous system. And I know there's going to be some deep belly breathing in a moment, and then I'm going to relax again. And talking about strength training, it's important to build up a muscle, especially as we age, to combat sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, which naturally happens as we age, and of course, the loss of bone density. Stress can increase the Vata dosha, and the Vata dosha has an inverse relationship with the bone tissue. And so when Vata rises or is aggravated for long periods of time, the bone density can decrease. Strength training with weights or bands will help to build up the bone density. And you really have to pay attention to this during menopause when bone density and the rise of Vata can be an issue. And so exercise can relieve stress and build up physical and mental health resiliency as well. Of course, our diet is a major factor here as well, and making sure that our diet consists of seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local foods. And in fact, the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, just released their 2024 Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen list of fruits and vegetables. And this list tells you which produce has the least pesticides. And so it's good to know, especially if you can't afford to buy all organic produce. And of course, the dirty dozen are the ones that you definitely want to invest in and buy organic. And they are strawberries, spinach, kale, or any greens, I would say, leafy greens, grapes, peaches, pears, nectarines, apples, peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans. Don't worry, you don't have to remember all those. I'm going to put the link in the show notes for the EWG downloads. You can download them onto your phone and have them handy when you're shopping. Another way to build up our resilience to stress is to reduce screen time and spend more time in nature, which is extremely beneficial to reduce stress and helping to improve our well-being. And I know it can be challenging to find the time to spend time in nature daily, but perhaps you could combine it with other activities. And this is where it's okay to multitask. So maybe you take your lunch outside, out of the office and sit in a park or somewhere next to a tree. Or maybe you do your workout in nature rather than in the gym. Or perhaps when you pick up the kids from school, that you take them to the park after school. You get to spend time in nature and the kids get to release some of that pent up energy from the day. Or take a walk while you're on an online meeting, or just during your day, step outside just to take a mental break. This time in nature will lower our stress levels and remind us to breathe. Combining these activities with a supportive friend is also great, because when we share our concerns and problems with others, it also helps to relieve stress. And really, this sharing with a friend and getting outside in nature takes us out of our world for a moment. Sometimes we can get so myopic and so focused on a problem that when we just step out of our little world, sharing with a friend or getting out in nature, it can really help to dissipate that stress. So there you go. Thanks so much, Shirley, for that question. Really helpful for everybody, I think. For any of you listening to this episode, if you would like support, then please check out my online services on my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. I offer online consultations where I put together a strategy for your diet, lifestyle, self-care, and mindfulness practices to help you maintain balance, prevent illness, and of course, I'll also address any current imbalances going on in your body or mind. And don't forget, I have the group cleanse starting April 19th, or check out the private cleanse. Same structure. You just get to choose your own dates and you have me to support you privately. And finally, I have my educational program. If you prefer to study by yourself, the Daily Habits for Holistic Health program is a 28-day online self-paced program with the objective to help you live in tune with the circadian rhythm and educates you on how to become your own healer. Now, if you have any questions before you book any of my services, then take advantage of my free 15-minute online services inquiry call. We can hop on Zoom and I can answer all of your questions. Thanks again to Lydia, Pamela, and Shirley for those questions. Really helpful. I appreciate you taking the time to email them to me. And if you think that this episode will be helpful to family or friends, please share it with them so we can spread this wisdom of Ayurveda. And if you haven't already followed or subscribed to the podcast, please do so. And these free weekly episodes will automatically download for you. If you feel that you're getting benefit from this podcast, I would really appreciate a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. This will help others to find this amazing Ayurvedic information. Come follow me on social media. On Instagram, my new page is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. On Facebook, it's Elements Healing and Wellbeing. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slanga full.